We're here with two-time U.S. Nationals champ, funny car pilot, top fuel dragster pilot, Hoosier, Autoweek podcast guest, a man whose hometown named a street after him, that's Lawrenceburg, Indiana's own, J.R. Todd. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man, and I like the fact that you took notes, man. You're prepared. I dig that.
What are we driving? What are we sitting in? What are we doing?
I'm in a 2019 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. So if it seems like it's loud, which it should be because I'm sitting in park, but it definitely gets the neighbors' attention every day. I start it up a little bit, I'm sure. But no, it's a cool gift, a perk from Toyota that I enjoy driving as a daily driver.
I wheeled out my 1975 Harley-Davidson FXE as seen in Autoweek magazine. But yeah, let's hop to it real fast. Your work car, around 11,000 horsepower. Your daily driver, your Tundra, 381. Not bad. It would take about 27 of your Tundras, 5.7 V8s, to make the same power as your funny car. How does that make you feel?
That's pretty awesome. I've never really thought about that. And nothing compares to driving that 11,000 plus horsepower DHL Toyota Camry funny car. I mean, that thing, it gets you from point A to point B in a hurry. When I'm away from the track, I like to take it nice and easy in this Tundra and get there safely.
Real fast, for those that aren't familiar with, driving a top fuel funny car, I mean, few of us are. What's it feel like? What can you kind of explain what your body goes through from idling at the tree to pulling the chutes at the shutdown lane?
It's so hard to explain to somebody that's not, familiar with NHRA drag racing or who hasn't, drag raced anything. Just whether it's a top fuel dragster or a nitro funny car, I mean, you're talking about the quickest accelerating cars on the planet. I mean, we go from 0 to 330 miles an hour in a little under 4 seconds. I think my best run is 3.85 seconds at right around 334 miles an hour. So they cover a lot of ground in a short period of time. And the coolest stat for me that I think is that we'll go 0 to 100 in less than a second, and that's measured in 60 feet. So that's how hard these things accelerate when we hit the gas. I mean, there's points during that 3.8 second run that the G meter will spike up to 5 to 5.5 Gs, which is, I mean, that's right up there with some fighter jet stuff,
Yeah, that does. That sounds like quite the rush. I think I would probably pass out because that's a lot of Gs. So people think that drag racing, you just stab the throttle and go. That's obviously not accurate. Can you kind of explain what's it like to, navigate the car down the asphalt aisle?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing for me that I had to kind of retrain myself as a driver. I mean, I grew up racing junior dragsters and was always in dragsters up until the end of 2016 when I switched over to the Nitro Funny Car. And, from the outside, majority of the time, the cars look like they're going, straight down the track. They might be moving around just to a little bit. And over the course of the weekend, running down the 1,000-foot strip, a groove of rubber will get built up, usually in the center of the track from cars going down hopefully straight down the track to where that's where the optimum traction is. So if you get outside that groove of rubber, you're more liable to spin the tires and lose traction. So us drivers, we're usually pretty busy inside the car trying to keep that thing stuck in that groove of rubber to where, I mean, there's times you're really manhandling that funny car because, for one, they're so much shorter than a dragster. They're heavier. They don't have as much downforce as a dragster. So they're trying to skate or drive all over the track. And there's times, you cross the finish line with the wheel clocked 90 degrees and the thing's still going straight. And then if you lose, say it drops a cylinder, depending on what side of the engine it does that, I mean, you're losing downforce out of the exhaust from the pressure of that cylinder. So it's trying to shoot you one way and you got to counter steer it the other way. So typically 9 times out of 10, they're not wanting to go straight down the track, and they require just a little bit of driver input. And if you want to see, I think, a cool video, you head over to my Twitter page, and I got an in-car camera, a GoPro that we did a few years ago. That's on the steering shaft looking back at me. So you can get a little bit of an idea how much we're working the steering wheel in that short period of time.
That is phenomenal. So your dad said no to flat track racing for you, no to motorcycle racing. What's he think, and what's your family think of you strapping yourself into a nitro fueled funny car?
Well, since I grew up racing dragsters, they never really had a problem with me, drag racing dragsters. The flat track, that was always out the window. I mean, I grew up, going to the track with him and meeting guys like Scotty Parker and all them when I was a kid, and they have them tell me as a kid, like, man, your dad was so fast back in the day. Like, I always heard from him, like, yeah, whatever. And then meeting those guys and like having them say that, like, well, I guess he wasn't lying, yes, he wasn't just big talking his son, but like that was never an option for me because I always had dirt bikes and four-wheelers growing up as a kid, and they just sat in the garage most of the time because they are too afraid to let me ride them just because of the broken bones my dad had racing flat track. So my mom pretty much put a stop to that. And then I started junior drag racing when I was 10, and from then on it was always dragsters. Like they weren't even really that scared when I got into a top fuel dragster just because they knew that I had good guys around me who made sure I was safe. But funny cars, they were always like, nope, you're not driving one of those because they see it's on fire and things like that, to where fire in a dragster is not that bad because it's behind the driver and what have you. But there's an opportunity for me to go drive the DHL car, and I'm probably going to do it. They're like, what? Like they were so like not against it, just weren't really a big fan of it just because I was driving Connie's dragster. They felt like I was safer in that and was winning races in that, and just they never really been around funny cars. And then once I got in it and winning races and we won a championship, I think they finally have warmed up to me driving that DHL car, and now they're a big fan of it.
What's the future of drag racing look like to you?
NASCAR is back on track. I got a lot of buddies that race dirt track. I mean, they're getting back in the swing of things, and we're still in a holding pattern. So like our sport is so fan driven that's why we're on hold. Like we need those fans in the stands, and it's tough. But I mean, I'm sure that we'll bounce back eventually. But I mean, the whole world, or at least the United States, has got to bounce back for us to bounce back. So once all this pandemic blows over and we can get back on track, I'm hoping that a lot more focus gets put on NHRA drag racing, and we can kind of take it to that next level and get back there with NASCAR and IndyCar and all those guys. And my biggest thing is like, those who watch on TV that have never seen them in person, like you have to come out to the track and experience it. I mean, there's nothing like 11,000 horsepower. When we hit the gas, it's almost like a small earthquake when you're sitting in the stands or standing near the starting line. It blows your mind. It hits all your senses, and just I've never had a fan come up to me that was their first time being there and say they didn't like it. I mean, they've always said that they're coming back for more. So that's a great thing to hear.
I believe they can say they paid for the seat. They only used the edge.
Yeah, exactly. If they even sat down.
Jumping into some lightning round questions. These are some either quick yes or no, or like give you a couple options and you can, pick one. Bone in or boneless?
Oh, bone in every time.
All right. Hey. All right. Hey. Flying or driving?
That depends, like, of course I'm not going to drive to Pomona, California, but I have no problem driving like Bristol, Tennessee or certain places. I mean, it's nice to be on the road just to get your mind right and clear your head. But I don't know, like it seems like the older I get, like I hate flying long distance anymore. So that's kind of a toss up for me.
For sure. This is very Hoosier specific. And technically, since Lawrenceburg's so close to Cincinnati, this is a very loaded question. So someone's going to be mad regardless how you answer it. Just letting you know. Breaded tenderloin or chili with spaghetti?
Oh, dude, every time Skyline chili, man. Like,
we're done here. This is I don't want it. This is
when you grew up near Cincinnati and you live in Lawrenceburg, like you have a Skyline, which there's a couple here in Indy, but they're not the same as being close to the source there and near Cincinnati. So like breaded tenderloin's not even that popular in that part of Indiana.
Yeah. I will say, in Speedway, Charlie Brown's best best breaded tenderloin. And if you need a skyline fix on the south side, there's a skyline, kind of right near Greenwood.
Right, I've been there.
A hot dog. Is it a sandwich?
Absolutely not.
You're back in my good graces. There's 2 sections in the menu: sandwiches, hot dogs. They don't meet. Roller coasters, pro or con?
Big pro. When I was a kid, I hated roller coasters. And then I worked my way up to just riding the ones with no loops. Now it's give me the biggest, baddest roller coaster you got, and I'll ride that thing every day, all day.
Kings Island or Six Flags?
Kings Island, I guess, because it's close. I mean, I've gone on a few dates, the Kings Island for during Halloween. It's cool. You can go there, the scare park, whatever they call it, where you can go ride the rides at night. So probably Kings Island. Winning
a 3rd U.S. Nationals Funny Car title, or becoming a 2-time Autoweek podcast guest?
Is that really a question?
Got to go with the podcast, am I right?
How about winning a 3rd U.S. Nationals Wally and doing a podcast as a result of that?
I love it. And I think that's my paper is all out of questions. So I think that's a good time to end. JR, thank you so much. And keep staying busy.
Yeah, I want to say that everybody stays safe out there, and we'll get through this together for sure.
Cool. And we're looking forward to you being back in a funny car, ripping down the 1,000 feet.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.